"You have no idea what real suffering is," the older nun yelled at the young Therese. As the elder religious continued to berate her, Therese simply smiled and listened attentively. However, unbeknownst to the senior nun, there was something hidden about the life of Therese. Something that, once it became known, would change the lives of those around her in a profound way. France, 1896. Inside the Carmelite convent at Lisieux, silence usually filled the cloister. Nuns moved quietly between chapel, garden, and workroom, their days marked by prayer, simple labor, and long hours of contemplation. But on this particular morning, the silence was broken. One of the older sisters stood near a work table, clearly irritated. Her voice rose as she complained about her fatigue and the endless chores of convent life. Across from her sat a young Carmelite nun, calmly continuing her sewing. The sister turned toward her. "You have no idea what real suffering is," she said sharply. "Some of us carry burdens you could never understand." The young nun listened quietly. Her name was Sister Therese of the Child Jesus. Rather than answer irritation with irritation, she simply smiled and continued her work. When the sister finished speaking, Therese responded with the same gentle kindness she always showed. Few around her understood why. To understand this moment, we must go back a few years. In 1888, a 15-year-old girl named Therese Martin entered the Carmelite convent at Lisieux. The community was small and the life hidden from the world. The sisters shared the same chapel, the same meals, the same workrooms, and the same narrow corridors where they passed one another day after day. For reasons Therese never fully understood, she seemed to irritate this nun more than the others. The tension appeared in small moments. In the workroom, the sister would complain that Therese worked too slowly. In the corridors, she would scold her for minor mistakes. Sometimes she assigned the young woman extra tasks while listing the hardships she herself endured. "You have it easy," she would say. "You know nothing of real suffering." Therese never argued. She listened quietly, helped when asked, and greeted the sister with the same calm kindness whenever they met. One afternoon, after hours of work, Therese sat down briefly to rest. The sister noticed immediately. "You're tired already?" she said with irritation. "Some of us work much harder than you do." Therese rose at once and apologized for her laziness. Then she returned to her task without complaint. To anyone watching these exchanges, the explanation seemed simple. The older nun was difficult, the younger one was patient. One morning, Therese did not appear for her usual work. At first, her absence seemed minor. Perhaps she had caught a cold. Perhaps she had eaten something that had upset her stomach. But as the morning passed, concern began to grow, and the sisters summoned a physician. The doctor examined the young Carmelite carefully. Afterward, he stepped out to speak with the nuns waiting nearby. His tone was calm. "She has endured this illness with remarkable courage," he said. The sisters looked at one another in confusion. "What illness?" one of them asked. The doctor seemed surprised. "You know the condition she has been suffering from," he replied. "Tuberculosis at this stage brings constant pain. It has clearly progressed for many months." A stunned silence followed. The sister who had so often complained to Therese stood motionless. Memories returned all at once. She remembered scolding the young nun for resting. She remembered complaining about simple chores while Therese quietly helped her. And never once had the young Carmelite mentioned her suffering. Later that day, the sister entered the room where Therese rested. The illness had weakened her greatly, yet her expression remained peaceful. For a moment, the older nun struggled to speak. Finally, she asked the question that weighed on her heart. "Why did you never tell me?" Therese answered simply, "When I look at you, I try to see Jesus." The words revealed the secret of her life. Therese believed that love was proven not by great public deeds, but by small acts offered quietly to God in ordinary moments. Even irritation and suffering could become opportunities to love. She would later describe this path as her little way. The word doctor today often makes us think of a physician or a professor, but the title doctor of the Church comes from the Latin word doctor, which means teacher. Across 2,000 years of Christian history, the Church has named only 38 saints as doctors of the Church. Most were great theologians or bishops, yet among them stands a young Carmelite nun who never left her cloister. In 1997, Pope St. John Paul II declared Therese of Lisieux a doctor of the Church, writing that she is a teacher of the evangelical life. For she showed the world something simple and profound. Holiness is often not found in great achievements, but in small acts of love, offered quietly and sometimes unnoticed in the hidden moments of ordinary life.